Hello and welcome to my 5-inch garden railway. In previous videos you have seen my class 35 locomotive running on my railway. So in this video I thought I would tell you more about this locomotive, how I built it and how it works. So this is my main loco, my most powerful loco. It's based on a class 35 Hymic, which was a diesel hydraulic type loco which ran mainly on the western region. 1700 horsepower and 74 tons in weight. Similar horsepower to a class 37 but some 30 tons lighter. Powerful little engine, used mainly on mixed traffic duties, although they were known to haul express passenger trains on the western region out of Paddington. Now this originally was a kit bought from Bexhill Models, Model Engineering Supplies of Bexhill, and it came in obviously in parts. The body shell was just a blank, and I had to cut out all the apertures and obviously paint it as well. This colour scheme is the original colour scheme that these locos were produced in. I think it's quite attractive, far better than the BR Blue. I always thought BR Blue spoilt locos, especially the Deltics. It just seemed to emphasise their big slab sides, but I like this two-tone green. I put some plastic, clear plastic, in where the windows should be, and I also got some of this ribbed material that I put on to look like a grill. The transfers of the BR sign and the numbers, they were actually raised aluminium numbers on the real locos. Got them from Fox Transfers, and the nameplate I had made by somebody who I met at the Model Engineering exhibition at Alexandra Palace, and I think it looks quite good. Daniel Gooch, of course, one of my all-time heroes, was the loco engineer of the original Great Western Railway. I've also fitted inside a fan, which I'll tell you more about when I lift the body off. And this is the front of the body. There is some bits of wire that I put as the handrails, and made up some windscreen wipers out of I think I used cocktail sticks. There's a little, I think it's a Lego man inside. The cab is pretty much detailed as near as I could. There's a cooker at the back that they had, and the driver's desk, the brake handle and power handle. I've fitted a head code which lights up 1V17. The 1 stands for express passenger. The V was when these trains ran interregionally, V meant that it was going to the western region from another region. And 17, I'm not quite sure why I put 17 in there. I don't know, maybe that was the year that I redid the body, resprayed it. And again you can see more the electrification flashes, which again were from Fox Transfers. And the detail underneath I'll go into when we look at the chassis. Right, well, we'll take the body off now. These glass fibre bodies are fairly fragile, and I found after a while of lifting it off it started to warp at the sides. So in the middle there I drilled a hole through, and on the other side I screwed a piece of metal, and I tapped some thread on that piece, through that piece of metal, and made this T-piece so I can lift them off just with one hand, and it doesn't put any strain on the body. So let's lift the top off now. So we'll start with the cab end. You can see bits of Lego that I've just made a light block, and I've got LEDs also for the marker lights. You can see a wire that connects to the main part of the loco. There's the fan, which was a computer fan I bought from Maplin, and another some gearing and that I had to use to slow it down, and it works from a 1.5 battery that I keep on the chassis. And the other end, again, I've got some tail lights, LEDs, and all these connect up to they're bullet connectors that connect up to the main chassis. And that's the inside. You can see the piece of metal that I screwed to the roof and tapped a thread through the middle so I can lift the body off, because these sides are very flimsy if you keep lifting it off with them. So that's the bodywork. And now we come to the main chassis and all the important bits. First thing is this loudspeaker. That's for the sound, and the sound unit with a sound chip in it of a actual diesel hydraulic is there. Two horns, high and low, and the motor connectors, which are spade connectors and bullet connectors. And then we have two 12-volt batteries, just ordinary car batteries, connected in series to give us 24 volts, although there is a tapping off a 12-volt equipment. And then the big silver block is the Parkside control unit. Power goes in via this MCB, and the power to the motors is via those blue and yellow cables. This is a light switch for controlling the headlights, tail lights, etc. 1.5 battery fits in there for the fan, and these are all the connectors for the lights and fan, also for the horn and for the sound unit. And if I push it down a bit, you can see the 9-DIN plug, or socket rather, which again is for the main control of speed, forward and reverse. Now the car batteries, like I said, they're just ordinary Halfords car batteries. Other suppliers are available, and these have lasted, well, 8 or 9 years I should think at least, and this loco has done a lot of work. I've used it at model engineering clubs, I've used it at Steam Fair giving rides on a portable track, and they've done very well considering, because they're not really meant to be constantly drained and recharged. Chassis is laser cut metal, very solid and heavy. Obviously this all came with the original kit. I had to put a piece of wood on the base to support everything, and it, as you can see, it's quite a tight squeeze, but it all works. And yeah, it's a lovely little engine actually. So let's lift the chassis off and have a look at the bogies. Just one thing I did forget to mention of this is this detail on the front buffer beam, the jumpers and air pipes. You can buy the little white metal mouldings. I think I got them from Bexhill Models again, and I just added on bits of wire to look like the jumper cables and pipes, and underneath is on the real locos was an air reservoir, and I've just made that out of some wood and painted it white. Just adds a bit more detail to the front. First of all, we have to take the batteries off. And now we would disconnect these from the motor cables, obviously, and then this just lifts off like that. And so here's one of the power bogies. Two motors connected via a nylon cog to the wheels. Just put Vaseline on this, and that keeps it nice and lubricated. And as I said, these actual motors and wheels have been working hard since 2012, and I've never had any problem with them. Now, some detail I've added on: the steps, sandboxes, springs and brake cylinders I've made out of wood and bits and pieces. This is just to pack it up from the chassis base, and these are just I put on just to prevent it rocking a little bit. And then you can see the wires to the power with the bullet connectors, and they go on to these through that hole, and it's the same at the front. And there it is. That's really the whole thing. Now, originally this body was actually a different colour, here's a picture of it, and then I changed that and painted this in this colour, and D7014 was actually in this colour scheme right up to the time it was withdrawn, and they only were in service for 11 years in total, which I think is pretty disgusting actually. Now, I did buy another body, and as a spare in case the other one got damaged, and this one is in BR blue, and the real engine 7036 actually ended its days in this colour scheme, which is all BR blue and the yellow warning panel. And this one is named after another one of my heroes, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, but otherwise the bodywork is exactly the same as Daniel Gooch. But I use the different bodies depending on what I'm doing. I think the green one is better and more authentic, and if I go to model engineering clubs, that would be the one I would use. And so there are my, well, there's my main engine, albeit with two different bodies. Right, we'll connect everything up and we'll have a look at the controls. So this is one of the controllers I use for this loco. This is a very simple one, just plugs in the back, and it's got just a turning knob and a forward and reverse switch. If I put it in forward and back. This one, it's not very safe because it can be set at a certain speed and then left, and I use that for when I want to show the engine going round by itself. But if I was to go to an engineering club or a public running track, I wouldn't be able to use this because it's not fail safe. If I was to fall off, this would still keep going. But I do use it for shunting the engine around and that sort of thing. But it's not the one I use all the time. So this is my main controller. This is the one I use most of the time. It's a collection of different controls all taped together. We have the main control here, with it has to be operated by a key, and there's a joystick for power, forward and reverse, a horn, and that's the sound control. And the horn and the sound control are all connected by these wires here and these connectors. So to operate it, we have to turn the key, select the forward or reverse, and then move the controller slowly like that. Now the beauty of this one is, if you were to fall off or collapse, this power lever will always go back to off. So if I was to go to an engineering club track or a public running track, then this is the one I'd have to use. Now the sound, I switch on like that. And because the sound wires are connected to the motor wires, as you speed up, so the sound, that's the brake going on, so the sound changes note as you increase or decrease speed, and that's these little plastic boxes I got from Maplin, and just tape them all together. But that's my main controller. That is really the safest one because it locks as well. Nobody else can use it if you left the engine somewhere. All these other cables here, they're for lights on the body, which we saw earlier. So that's a look at my main engine. You've often seen it running round in other videos, so I thought I'd give you a look at just exactly what's inside it all and how it works. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.